The headlines. Ngombe mother conceals corpse of her baby for 3 days under her bed. Poor state of road, Mansa, Calabar worries residents. PF ignored, left out of African Union summit. Police cancel planned peaceful protest by young Pan-Africanists at Africa Union summit. Names recruited teachers finally out. To present the details, my name is Guts Banda. A mother of Lusaka's Ngombe compound has allegedly concealed a corpse of her 8-month-old baby for 3 days under her bed. According to the neighbors, they recently used to hear the baby crying all the time, but all of a sudden, the crying stopped. This prompted them to query the mother about the whereabouts of the baby. Police have since launched an investigation into this matter. Anxiety gripped the nation Friday as multitudes of anxiety prospective teachers thronged government-controlled Zambia Daily Mail offices in Lusaka. This was to check if their names are on the much sought-after teacher recruitment list of successful candidates. The recruits camped outside the premises in anticipation and amid heightened emotions among those who had applied for recruitment. At the publication of the 120 pages edition of the newspaper, many could be seen relieved, shedding tears of joy after many years of waiting. Over 90,000 had applied for the teaching jobs, which saw the New Dawn administration recruit 30,496.
These are some of the teacher applicants who could not wait for the release of the Friday edition of the 120-page Daily Mail newspaper, hoping to be among the selected 3,000-plus teachers for 2022 after waiting for more than 3 hours. These are the emotional scenes that characterize some teachers who found their names in the paper.
I feel so happy as a parent. I'm sure you've seen myself. Such things never used to happen. So whether my daughter is left out or not, their joy is my joy. Mind you, no one took advantage of the information.
For how long?
It has come at the same time. Both the poor, the rich,
What does this mean to you?
As the Madalas, we've accessed at the same time. Has it ever happened before?
God, my name is there. Thank you.
So whether my daughter is left
Hello. Wagai. Hapa sakira yako yanga na pesa.
Umfonele lezi number. Kamananeli 25 00 89 female, major civic education, minor English, Sikongo, Northwestern Navy. Northwestern, kasi Congo, Northwestern. Northwestern is Congo. Even is Congo. Congo have Northwestern country, the Western province out.
Just show me the rope. Let me just capture the name. Which one is the name?
Speaking at the sidelines, Minister of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kenneth Kalunga emphasized that government will ensure that the citizenry is informed countrywide. Hence, there will be a continued printout of the selected names.
And the distribution also, the paper will be distributed countrywide. Even tomorrow, the paper shall be distributed. And as the ministry will ensure that no one will be denied information. This is information that the public wants to know. And today, as we speak, the entire Zambia wants to see who government has employed, with a promise that 30,000 teachers shall be employed. Today, the Ministry of Education has employed more than 30,000 teachers. As this is the exhibit.
And acting managing director Zambia Daily Mail revealed that government planned for the release of 30,000 copies. 70% of the number has been met on Friday, hoping that by Saturday 16th July 2022, working in collaboration with Times Print Park, would manage to reach the targeted number and more.
Our target is 30,000 copies split between Zambia Daily Mail and Times of Zambia, 20,000 copies of Zambia Daily Mail and 10,000 of Times of Zambia. We've printed as at now, those which are available to go, around 18,000, which we'll start distributing. By 15, the entire full set, the target of 30,000 will be ready. So we'll start the distribution now with the Lusaka market, the Copper Belt and the Southern Province. And then we'll continue to feed into the market even into tomorrow, so that the far-flung areas also get it.
The 30,000 plus teachers recruited in the 2022 national budget is historical. That many have been waiting for this for over 2 years. Many are also hopeful that the over 30,000 recruited teachers will caution the pupil-teacher ratio, especially in the rural areas. For MUVI TV News, Liambela Mutumba in Lucy.
Meanwhile, Professional Teachers Union of Zambia Public Relations Officer Brian Mwila has commended government on successfully releasing the teachers' recruitment list. He says the exercise is a positive move that will help in alleviating the high unemployment in the country. Mr. Mwila has urged government to come up with ways on how best to help those who did not make it through the final list.
Anticipated teachers recruitment exercise is finally here, with over 30,000 applicants who were successful. This move will see a lot of people employed, yet more than 50,000 will still be left to find other means of survival as they await for another chance like this one. Professional Teachers Union of Zambia Public Relations Officer Brian Mwila has commended government on this initiative that will help in the fight against unemployment in the country.
First and foremost, would like to congratulate the teachers who have successfully been recruited by government. We understand that it has been a long wait, and we know that there is a lot of anxiety out there. And so, as a union, we are very much happy to learn that government is finally releasing a list today on the 15th of July 2022. Now, we know too well that there are other colleagues of ours who have not made the list. First and foremost, we would like to encourage the people or the teachers who have not made the list to be calm and accept that only one can be picked at a particular time.
Mr. Mwila has congratulated the successful teachers and has also called on government to use innovations that will help out the successful candidates.
To our government, our call is to request the government to increase the budgetary allocation in the 2023 budget to the Ministry of Education. What is hindering all these issues is lack of finances. So if our ministry is funded well in the next budget, 2023, we will see more teachers recruited. We know the records are indicating about close to 75,000 teachers who are going to remain after this 30,000 net recruitment. So our call really is to the government to ensure that they increase the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Education in the 2023 budget, so that more of our colleagues can be recruited. We are happy government has shown the desire in the recruitment of our teachers this year. It is historical. It is historical that we have a 30,000 net recruitment. We hope and trust that even in 2023, we are going to have a similar experience or even more of what we are witnessing this year.
The day has come where others will be fully employed, but for some, it's tough luck, and it is hoped that government will come on board to help each and every person However, it is imperative for society to have a change in mindset of expecting government to employ everyone, as this cannot be possible to a certain extent. Prudence Mutalo reporting for MUVI TV News in Livingston, Southern Province.
Meanwhile, Professional Teachers Union of Zambia Public Relations Officer Brian Mwila has commended government on successfully releasing the teachers' recruitment list. He says the exercise is a positive move that will help in alleviating the high unemployment rates in the country. Mr. Mwila has urged government to come up with ways on how best to help those who did not make it through the final list.
With disabilities in Zambia. I know that 196 teachers living with disabilities have been recruited, and these are teachers who have been sent to places where they live. These have been sent to places where they reside. There's nothing like being sent away from where they don't reside, because they are going to face a challenge of being aided. So in the guidelines, there was an issue of saying that the teachers with disabilities should be sent and posted to places where they live, where they are aided, so that we don't have an issue of having problems of movement and mobility. Then when you talk about the government having a positive attitude towards people living with disabilities in this country, yes, I know that the new donor administration has come on a good note. I know that they have so far appointed a good number of people with disabilities who are in the government, especially the commissions. I know I've got the Louis Sendabantu at the Civil Service Commission. I know I've got the Louis Kabemba at the Civil Service Commission. The two of them are visually impaired. I know that we've got the Constant Samborura at the Rock Government Commission, who is also physically challenged. I know that we've got Mr. Johnny Chiti at the Police and the Police Service Commission, who is a person living with albinism. I know that we've got our colleague, a physically challenged, who is also a commissioner at the Human Rights Commission. The lady from Gawe, who is physically challenged, the one who was looking for social work, I've just forgotten her name. So for a start, I can say that they have got a positive attitude.
The mother of Lusaka's Ngombe compound has allegedly concealed a corpse of her 8-month-old baby for 3 days under her bed. According to the neighbors, they recently used to hear the baby crying all the time, but all of a sudden, the cries stopped. This prompted them to query the mother about the whereabouts of the baby. Police have since launched investigations into the matter.
An identified woman of Lusaka's Ngombe area has been apprehended by police in connection to her 8-month-old baby's death. Some neighbors who spoke to MUVI TV News disclosed.
Uyu mwana amene mwalira pa mai wake amamusiya mwana eka amasala na bana bacha amene mwaona paja pa do amaenda kuja kunjuka
And when contacted for a comment, police spokesperson Reha Monga said police has instituted investigation into the matter.
We are investigating a case of suspected infanticide. The issue is that we received a phone call from a concerned citizen of Ngombe area, Old Ngombe, who reported the death of Anisi, who died under unclear circumstances, and who was in the company of the mother. Okay?
Okay.
This is alleged to have occurred between 14th July and unknown date and to 15th July and 08 hours.
Okay.
Members of the public are claiming that the said mother slept over the child while she was drunk and suffocated to death.
Yes.
The mother also is believed to be in the habit of leaving the baby in the hands of members of the public. Other sources said that the deceased baby was suffering from pneumonia and was admitted at Levi-Manawasa Hospital for 1 month and was discharged on 6th June. Yes, so these are the stories that we have. So we are investigating that matter, and we since visited the scene, and the body of the deceased baby was found, and with no physical injuries, and only mucus on the nose. The body has been deposited in University Hospital mortuary awaiting postmortem and disposal.
For MUVI TV News, Liambela Mutumba in Lusaka.
For now, we take a set of commercials. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned.
As COVID-19 cases keep rising, many business entities are affected and their revenue keeps going down. But together, we can fight COVID-19. Rumpi Enterprises provides you and your organization the safety you require in these hard times of the COVID-19 pandemic by using effective disinfectants procedures such as knockdown and residual disinfecting that helps prevent and get rid of COVID-19. We do knockdown and residual disinfecting procedures for homes, offices, hospitals, churches, and many more. Protect yourself and the people around you and get your business running with our powerful trusted disinfectants. Call Rumpi Enterprises on 0955 767835 or 0955 992230, or come to the 3rd floor, room 3, Tazara House, corner of Dedan Kimati and Independence Avenue. Follow us on Facebook, Rumpi Enterprises Limited. Always remember to observe the COVID-19 guidelines. Mask up, sanitize, social distancing, and stay.
How to send and receive money to and from other networks. Step 1. Get some fresh air. Step 2. Say hello to a friend and save his time. Step 3. Bail a bro by sending him money directly on his phone. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Special Education Teachers Union of Zambia General Secretary Cornelius Mutukwa has expressed gratitude over government's decision to employ more teachers living with disabilities. Mr. Chitukwa believes the UPND administration is committing to improving and supporting the development and progress of people living with disabilities as evidenced in the recent recruitment process countrywide.
Following countless efforts by residents of Kalaba and Matanda to see to it that the road network system is improved, but are only left with promises that the roads will be worked on after rain season, both residents and motorists are now reminding government that it is no longer
have appealed to government to rehabilitate the Mansa-Kalaba road before the onset of the rains. James Lunyama laments that the state of the road promoted road traffic accidents which have claimed many lives and destroyed property. Mr. Lunyama further adds the repair of the road would promote economic activities and it would ease the movement of goods and services. And Grandi Chilufya, a resident of Mutiti, calls on those responsible for constituency development funds to consider channeling some funds towards the rehabilitation of the road. He warns some stretches of the road become impassable during the rain season.
Following countless efforts by residents of Kalaba and Matanda to see to it that the road network system is improved, but are only left with promises that the roads will be worked on after rain season, both residents and motorists are now reminding government that it is no longer rainy season, hence would want to see the roads worked on.
tapali vimbifire konganisho kwati musiku ate walamba kokola kuwamya musiku tapali vile tsikana ngfimo nomba hivyo twala twala vevi nukulainda musebo wao na ikakwata tatuliwe na Zambia ifwe so napo tulefwa na ifwa misheko emisebo
kweba ati leni season nga yako tukambukuwamya ba president shetira ba alipo muteko wafumine poko ba dama tukabika twapita vetama tukabika na nomba tuchitire lelo kwa dama bakati bikira lisa kuteko wa isapo.
For others, they feel part of community development fund can be allocated to improving these roads.
Pampeni pengo msebo wadi rubana sana. Ifili ndi okufuma fe mu buteko bwa PF ero na mu buteko bwa UPND. Nga kuchilisha nevyo ba UPND bare tuchitaturero mbapo nga dendala masha constituency development fund kwebati wenga tuamisha ko musebo.
And Bahati Member of Parliament says is in talks with government over the same.
The Mansa-Kalava road and the Mansa-Matanda road is the major roads in our constituents, and they're in a very bad state. We engage other stakeholders and we engage the local authority to see if we can, just patch up those bad areas. But even the Mansa-Kalava road is the one. It's one of the roads that I'm discussing with the Minister of Local Government.
Mansa-Kalava Road was last worked on in the 90s and is currently in a bad state. Helen Jisha reporting for MUVI TV News in Mansa district of Wapla province.
The Opposition Patriotic Front, PF, has described the organization of the African Union Media Summit as shambolic, citing difficulties in accreditation and failure to invite opposition leaders. PF Acting Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa says it is always a norm that opposition political parties are invited to such high-level events, but on the second day of the event, nothing of this sort has happened.
Patriotic Front PF members of parliament have lamented the shooting down of a motion it terms is aimed at limiting the mining of precious minerals to Zambians. Speaking during the routine press briefing Friday afternoon, led by the mover of the motion, Mpika Constituency Member of Parliament, Francis Kapyanga, the members of parliament say it is disappointing that government refused a motion that is aimed at empowering Zambians.
So the motion was well intended, and as things stand, we leave it to the Zambian people to see for themselves. Maybe the intention of shooting the motion is the reason why we even see the former British Prime Minister, Tony Blair, coming to Zambia to come and advise Smart Zambia on how they should go about it, mapping mineral depots. Now it's like they are the people that are coming to be in charge of our own minerals, instead of we, the Zambian people, instead of the poor people there, instead of those whose mobile boats they are bulldozing. The motion was rejected, and we are not going to end here. We are going to reintroduce
Peaceful protest by a group of African youth Pan-Africanists under the African Affairs movement, citing security concerns. Group leader Kosten Chongo, who was earlier summoned at Lusaka Central for a meeting over the protest, says the police have advised his movement to call off the protest at the ongoing African Union AU summit in Lusaka. Mr. Chongo claims the police have attributed the cancellation to procedural perpetuation on the part of his organization. Mr. Chongo adds the movement has since decided to comply to police advice, as the protest is not aimed at antagonizing anyone but seeking answers from the continental body. Among the demands by African Affairs movement is for the AU to give an update on what it has achieved from its 1963 objective agenda of silencing armed conflict by the year 2020, the continued importation of foreign foodstuffs, among others. Meanwhile, Mr. Chongo has announced his group of young Pan-Africanists will instead next week, Tuesday, storm the AU offices in Lusaka over its concerns.
Good afternoon. My name is Jongo Kosten, leader of a group of young African affairs activists here in Zambia. I wish to confirm that we, the young activists, this morning we presented a letter of notice to the Zambia police of our intended protests or peaceful demonstration at the ongoing African Union summit hosted here in Zambia. And the police have advised us not to go ahead with intended demonstration at the summit. I wish to categorically state that we respect government institutions and we shall respect the guidance from the police. I would also want to say that our respect to the government institutions does not take away our rights to be heard. We shall therefore proceed as concerned young African activists to present an official letter to the offices of the African Union here in Zambia and a request for answers as to the concerns which we have about the institution. We shall not go to demonstrate at the African Union offices here in Lusaka, but we shall go to deliver a letter which outlines and states clearly our dissatisfactions, our concerns about the services from the African Union to the African continent. Among the critical issues which we intend to seek answers from the African Union is among the 7 aspirations of this continent in the Africa Union Agenda 2063, aspiration number 4.
Shortly.
Nothing works up our emotions like a good game of sports.
Why no enter television go pass?
And just like life, all it could take is one crazy idea to change the game and set the stage for your success.
Okay, guys, listen. We have to tighten our defense. You, make sure you pass the ball. Let's go.
This is how winners are made. They spot a chance to own the game and seize that chance to take their fate into their own hands. Are you ready to win? 1xBet. Bets for every taste.
This is Melvin.
Hi, Michael.
And this is his house. Melvin always has a lot of people over. Friends, friends of friends, friends of friends of friends. Everybody loves Melvin. And you wonder why. What is it about Michael? Sorry, Melvin. Probably his Airtel 4G Smart Box. 4G speeds for your home and office. Connects up to 32 devices.
Hello, my people. Lelo kuwina pa new deal game show ni diviri. Kipiki na numbers ya ngati ya bidi. Kubwela kuwina drama up to 2,000 kwata imwe ni lelo. Osati day inangu So ngati mufuna kuwina ko jailingani star 265 star 13 275 star 5 hash sending at muna 6 quarter or more. Jailingani star 265 star 13 275 star 3 hash sending at muna 4 quarter or more mobile money account yano. Olo jailingani star 265 star 13 275 star 2 hash sendi ngati mulina 3 quarter or more imwe lelo ni diviri madiongo tupasa tabe ma 50 ma 70 ma 100 ma 50 ma 70 ma 100 join the winning team imwe enter the more you enter lelo madrozi ni ngati ya bidi up to 2,000 quarter so ikugwira lelo enter the more you enter the more chances you have of winning makwata enter.
Welcome back. All pupils that applied for secondary boarding school bursaries in Chongwe district of the Lusaka province have been picked. Payments have been made for a total of 301 applicants of the secondary boarding school bursaries, with 223 being female and 77 male, of whom 3 are different abled. Chongwe Municipal Council Public Relations Officer Cecilia Msonda says the applicants were picked in line with government's commitment to free education access for all Zambians through the Constituency Development Fund (CDF). An additional number of 221 youth who applied for skills development was also paid for, with 128 being male and 93 female, to various institutions such as Lusaka Business and Technical College, Chipembi College of Agriculture, and Chiyota Youth Training Center.
Payments for secondary boarding school and skills development have already been dispersed to all the target institutions in the first quarter allocation of the CDF 2022 under the bursaries and the skills development component. And all applicants that applied for secondary boarding school and skills development sponsorship were picked in line with government's commitment to free education access for all Zambians. So payment for a total number of 301 applicants of the secondary boarding school bursaries have so far been made. And an additional number of 221 youths who applied for skills development was also paid to the various institutions such as Lusaka Business and Technical College, Chipembi College of Agriculture, and Chiyota Youth Training Center. So the local authority therefore wishes to encourage more students and youths to apply under their respective ward development committees in the remaining quarters, as we are still receiving applications under bursaries and empowerment. And all applications must be done through your respective wards, through your respective WDCs that have been established in all the 21 wards of Chongo constituency.
African Union Commissioner of Infrastructure and Energy, Dr. Amani Abu Zaidi, says the Russia-Ukraine war has led to consequences of energy insecurity in Africa. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing African Union 41st Ordinary Session of the Executive Council at Mulungushi International Conference Center, Dr. Amani says it is sad vulnerable populations are bearing the greatest burden of rising food and energy prices. She says these challenges have adversely affected socio-economic development of the continent.
And we have to act very quickly to ensure that Africa is resilient. So it's not just about access to energy, but also how to make sure that Africa is energy secure. So energy security is now, for all of us, is a priority. Exactly like we're saying about food. So energy security and food security are top priorities for Africa and for the world indeed. For that, Africa has abundance of energy resources of all kinds. What is important now is for energy access and energy security is to ensure that the whole continent in terms of energy is linked together, that not only that energy is generated, but it's also transmitted and used and shared across the continent. So some of you may have attended our press briefing before when we were talking about the African single electricity market that we launched in June 2021, way before the crisis, almost a year before. Now we are rethinking even that initiative to make sure that it's an African single energy market, which means that it's going to include all kinds of energy sources, address electricity, but also things like clean cooking, and other and share.
Plan International says the African summit taking place in Lusaka, Zambia, should take into consideration the report which was recently launched by the organization. Organization Liaison Officer Samuel Noga says Africa is endowed with rich resources and when properly utilized can help the continent get out of poverty. Mr. Noga says the organization wants to see a complete elimination of non-tariff barriers that make it impossible for free trade in Africa. He expects the summit to keep an eye on the dangers of the cross-border trade, which he says was making children more vulnerable. He says they regret there is an increased child labor and marriages taking place in many African countries, which the governments have not properly addressed. Mr. Noga wants all African governments to recognize sexual harassment as the no-traffic barrier that needs to be addressed.
Agreements have the potential to address some of the underlying causes of poverty when properly implemented. Now, as organizations that support the promotion of child rights across the continent, we are pleased that the agreement will afford income generation opportunities for women and young people across the continent, especially in countries where we work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you all agree with me that Africa as a continent is endowed with rich resources. I mean, we have lots of them: water, land, you name them, human beings. Now, so this agreement for us is very likely to handle the potentials of all these resources, and that would help us to move away from dependence on donors and also address issues of poverty and inequalities across the continent. Now, cognizance of the potential negative impacts such a continental agreement could have imposed to children and young people and women, Plan and our partners decided to undertake a study in 2020 on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and its implications on children. But particularly, we're looking at cross-border issues on child labor, child marriage, child trafficking, and commercial sexual exploitation of trade agreements. We need to harmonize movement of people across borders. We need to ensure the safe and smooth passage of women and young people across the border. We have registered a lot of harassment of women who cross the borders. We have registered a lot of sexual abuses on women who cross the border. So it's very important that we harmonize and also monitor those activities. Now, in conclusion, Plan and our partners would want to continue to support government efforts in the successful implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement area.
With about 60% of youths and women in Africa in informal employment, the Non-Governmental Organizations Coordinating Council, NGOCC, has called for deliberate and legislated measures for social protection. NGOCC Executive Director Annie Anama says social protection is key in alleviating poverty, hence the need for African governments to take up an active role in enshrining it in the Constitution. And Minister of Social Development and Social Services, Doreen Mwamba, in a speech read for her through a representative, Alfonso Banda, says the government continues to increase its efforts in ensuring that more people are included on various social programs. The trio was speaking during a symposium hosted by Oxfam International in partnership with the Economic, Social and Cultural Council, ECOSOC, and the African Platform for Social Protection, APASP, on the sidelines of the African Union AU Media Summit. On that note, we come to the end of our primetime news, but before we go, a recap on headlines. Ngombe mother conceals corpse of her baby for 3 days under her bed. Poor state of road, Mansa Kalava worries residents. PF ignored left out of African Union Summit. Police cancel planned peaceful protest by young Pan-Africanists at Africa Union Summit. Names of recruited teachers finally out. Thank you so much for watching our primetime news. On behalf of the entire MUVI TV production crew, it has been Goodson Banda. Continue watching.